Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. Today we are going to take a look at some time expressions. Let's take a look at these two sentences. Přijdu za hodinu, přišel jsem před hodinou, or přišla jsem před hodinou. Přijdu za hodinu means I'll come in an hour. Přišel or přišla jsem před hodinou means I came an hour ago. When you look at the Czech sentences, there is not much that they have in common, only when you look closely. Of course, the tenses are different. This is the future tense, přijdu, I'll come. Přišel jsem, I came. What else is different? The preposition za. That means in a certain amount of time, whereas here we have před. Před means ago when we speak about time expressions. And what about the word hour? Hodina changed as well. Přijdu za hodinu, I'll come in an hour. This is the accusative case, za hodinu. Přišel jsem před hodinou. Před hodinou, that's a different form and a different case. Hodinou is the instrumental case, which I normally mark by a purple color, which I don't have. So I'm going to use a combination of these two, modrá a červená. You might remember a video where I talked about prepositions of place. There were these 5 prepositions, and among them there were also the prepositions za and před. When we talk about prepositions of place, za means behind and před means in front of. And the rule for that is that when you describe a movement, when you describe where you put something, the direction where you're putting it, that takes the accusative case, because this case is connected with motion. But when we talk about location, where something is placed, that would take the instrumental case, because it's static, it's not moving. However, this is something different. We're talking about time expressions, and that has a slightly different rule. Now I'll introduce a few more time expressions with za and před. I wrote these 6 time expressions: minuta, a minute, hodina, an hour, den, day, týden, a week, měsíc, a month, rok, a year. And we have 2 prepositions of time, za, in how much time something will happen or happened, and před, ago. Let's make these forms together. Za will take the accusative case when you talk about in how much time something will happen. Minuta is feminine, so we have to change the ending and it would be za minutu, za minutu. Za minutu, in a minute. You could also add za jednu minutu, in 1 minute if you want to be precise, but usually we just don't say number 1 unless it is really necessary. Let's continue with hodina. That's easy. The accusative case would be za hodinu. What about den? In a day. This is masculine, inanimate, so it doesn't change at all. It stays the same. Za den, za jeden den. In 1 day. Týden obviously is the same. Za týden, in a week. Měsíc, za měsíc, identical. Rok, that's also masculine, inanimate, so it's also za rok. The accusative case is easy. Only the feminine nouns, in this case, would change their form. You can practice by adding something else to these expressions. For example, udělám to. I will do it, I'll make it. Udělám to za minutu. Udělám to za minutu. Opakujte po mně. Udělám to za minutu. Udělám to za hodinu. Udělám to za den. Udělám to za týden. Udělám to za měsíc. Udělám to za rok. Keep in mind that this doesn't have to refer only to the future tense. We describe something that will happen in the future or was done in past as well. So you could also say, I did it in a minute, I did it in a day. Udělal jsem to za den. I did it in a day. Udělal jsem to za hodinu. I did it in an hour. Now let's take a look at the preposition před, which means ago. This takes the instrumental case. This is the accusative and this is the instrumental. And they always stay like this. They don't change when it refers to the time. How would we say a minute ago? In the instrumental case, A would change to O. So it would be minutou, před minutou. Hodina, it's the same. Před hodinou, před hodinou. Then, that usually doesn't appear in the singular form. We usually don't say 1 day ago, it would say yesterday. But let's make the form anyways. This is masculine, so we would add here em, but we also would get rid of this e. What would happen? It would be dnem, před dnem, před jedním dnem, 1 day ago. Týden, it's the same thing. So it would be před týdnem, před týdnem. Měsíc, the same form, we would add em, před měsícem, a month ago. Rok, we add em, před rokem, a year ago. Let's put these expressions in a sentence. For example, I called a minute ago. Volala jsem před minutou. Volal jsem před minutou. Volala jsem před hodinou. I called an hour ago. Volala jsem před dnem. Doesn't really work, but let's repeat it just for the sake of practicing. Před dnem. Volala jsem před týdnem. Volala jsem před měsícem. Volala jsem před rokem. I was saying these expressions a little bit slower. When we speak fast, we link these words together. So you would actually end up hearing před minutou, před hodinou, před dnem, před týdnem, před měsícem, před rokem. The same case would be here. Za minutu, za hodinu, za den, za týden, za měsíc, za rok. And here's a little tip to memorize when to use the accusative and when to use the instrumental case for these two prepositions when it comes to the time. You could think of it this way. The accusative case is connected with motion, right? And when we use the preposition za, it takes the accusative case because it refers to the future, something that can still happen. So the time is in motion, it is moving forward. The instrumental case is related to something static, so we use it with past, which we cannot change anymore because it won't move. Maybe this will help you. By the way, you can find this in my ebook just in case. When we talk about time expressions, we also like to mention how many hours, how many days. So we have to keep in mind the numbers, the numerals. And that gets a little bit messier, but let's not worry about this. Let's just memorize a couple of numbers that are common. I'm going to pick the word hodina as a representative of the feminine noun. Jedna hodina, and I'm going to pick the word týden, jeden týden as a representative of the masculine nouns. If you want to say in an hour, you would say za jednu hodinu, za jednu hodinu, in 1 hour. And as I mentioned, jednu would not be so common to mention, but you can, if you want to emphasize it, that it's exactly in 1 hour. If you want to say an hour ago, it would be před jednou hodinou. So it rhymes as well, jednou hodinou. What about týden? Jeden here doesn't change, za jeden týden, because it's masculine inanimate. The instrumental would be před jedním týdnem. Jedním is used for the instrumental for the masculine form and also the neuter form. Let's take a look at number 2. Za dvě. Now we get to the plural, plural accusative. Plural accusative is easy. It's the same as the nominative plural. It would be za 2 hodiny. Za 2 hodiny, in 2 hours. And 2 hours ago would be před 2 hodinami. Před 2 hodinami. So let's add it here. The plural would be hodiny, za 2 hodiny. The plural here would be hodinami. In 2 weeks would be za 2 týdny. That would be the plural, týdny. And 2 weeks ago would be před 2 týdny. Před 2 týdny. Like this, you can also see that minuta would work the same way. Za 2 minuty. Za 2 minuty, in 2 minutes. And 2 minutes ago would be před 2 minutami. Před 2 minutami. Let's do a month here. Za 2 měsíce a před 2 měsíci. 3 Okay, number 3. Za 3 hodiny a před 3 hodinami. Před 3 hodinami. Za 3 týdny. Za 3 týdny a před 3 týdny. Před 3 týdny. Number 4. Za 4 hodiny před 4 hodinami. Za 4 týdny a před 4 týdny. Před 4 týdny. And now let's get to number 5. Some of you, or most of you, can guess. It's gonna make a change. When we talk about numbers 5 and higher, they take the genitive plural in most of the cases. Depends on the keywords. Za 5 hodin. We would use hodin as the genitive form. So hodin is the genitive case. Za 5 would be the number that is in the accusative case. If you want to say 5 hours ago, number 5 would change for the instrumental. It would be před 5 hodinami. For some mysterious reason, the instrumental here would stay even though we are talking about number 5, or even if we said number 10, před 10 hodinami, 10 hours ago. It's simply the instrumental in this case would stay. Za 5 hodin, před 5 hodinami. Před 5 hodinami, they're both in the instrumental case. Whereas za 5 hodin, 5 is the accusative case and hodin is the genitive case. If you don't want to hear about the grammar and you go crazy when I say genitive and accusative, you can ignore that and you can just repeat after me when I say these forms. Let's try the same thing with minuta. So let's say in 5 minutes would be za 5 minut. Za 5 minut. In 5 minutes. What about 5 minutes ago? Před 5 minutami. Před 5 minutami. Now let's do týden. Za 5 týdnů, that would be the genitive plural. Za 5 týdnů, 5 weeks ago, před 5 týdny. Před 5 týdny. Let's do together the word den. Let's translate in 5 days. Za 5 dnů, that's one possibility, but we also commonly use the form dní. Za 5 dní. A před 5 dny. Před 5 dny. That would both be in the instrumental case. The situation with rok, year, is a little bit different. We can say roků as the plural, but we like to use let for different cases. It's much more common. Even when you say 2 years ago, we would prefer to say před 2 lety. Za 5 let, in 5 years, za 5 let a před 5 lety nebo roky, but we prefer to say lety. So once again, let's review this piece of information that I just told you. Za 5 minut, in 5 minutes, za 5. These forms are in the accusative case. They have identical form as if they were in their base form. Za 5 minut, these are the forms for the genitive case because of these keywords. Za 10 minut, in 10 minutes. Za 5 hodin, in 5 hours. Za 5 dní, in 5 days. Za 5 měsíců, in 5 months. The same would be for number 6 or number 10. 10. Za 10 minut, za 10 hodin, za 10 dní, za 10 měsíců. And also a very common word několik, which takes the genitive case. Za několik minut. This means in several minutes, in a couple of minutes. Za několik hodin, in a couple of hours, several hours. Za několik dní, za několik měsíců. Now let's take a look at the preposition před, ago. Před needs the instrumental case. It doesn't matter if there is a number or another keyword typical for the genitive case. Před here is the boss. So it's only instrumental. Před 5 minutami, 5 minutes ago. před 5 hodinami, před 5 dny, před 5 měsíci. The same here, před 10 minutami. And několika as well. Actually, this also changed the form for the instrumental. Několika, several. Před několika minutami, před několika hodinami, před několika dny, před několika měsíci. By the way, if you would like to study cases in more detail, and not only the cases, but learn about the Czech language overall, I have a special offer for my ebook just in case. Use the code listopad, November, and you will get a 20% discount for my ebook. This is valid only until the next Wednesday. Let's do a very quick exercise at the end. I didn't mention the word chvíle or chvilka, which is something that we use so frequently in Czech. Chvíle and chvilka both mean a moment, just a brief moment. Chvíle would be the base form and chvilka is the diminutive form. It would be like a little moment. What they have in common is they are both feminine. Ta chvíle a ta chvilka. How could you say I'll call in a moment? Zavolám za. Option A, chvíli. Option B, chvílí. Are so similar except the last letter, but there is a difference. Chvíli, chvílí. Za needs the accusative case. We're working with the word chvíle. The accusative from chvíle would be chvíli, short I. Za chvíli. If you got this correct, well done. Super. Zavolám za chvíli. I'll call in a moment. A volal jsem před. I called a while ago, a moment ago. Now we're working with the word chvilka. Which one would you choose? Of course, it's chvilkou. That's the instrumental case. Volal jsem před chvilkou. Dámy a pánové, to je ode mě všechno. Uvidíme se zase za týden. I'll see you again in a week. There are 2 topics that I already covered, zase and now the preposition za. Uvidíme se zase za týden. Před týdnem jsem mluvila o slovu zase. Now your task is to write a sentence in the comments that contain these time expressions that we looked at, or you can ask me about other time expressions with these prepositions. Don't forget to check my ebook just in case. If you're interested, it would be a shame not to use the 20% discount. You'll find the link below the video. Tak zase za týden. Čau čau.